So turning our attention now to the knowledge-rich curriculum side of things, your book challenges this idea that the main function of schools and teachers should be to making sure that children know as much factual knowledge as possible, and that it's stored in their long-term memories. And this is to kind of make them more intelligent. And maybe knowledge-rich supporters argue that children are novices and they can't think creatively or critically without vast amounts of knowledge stored in their long-term memories. But I'd like to hear, what are your thoughts on the knowledge or the type of knowledge schools need to teach children for them to cope and thrive in the 21st century?
One of the caricatures of the neo-traditionalists is that people like me don't care about knowledge. That's like this ridiculous bifurcation or polarization, that if you are interested in the processes of learning, and particularly in the learnability of those processes, if you're interested in learning to learn or learning skills or thinking skills or something like that, that must automatically mean that you no longer care about algebra or Shakespeare or the Tudors or anything like that, which is patently absurd. Kids to flourish, the kind of knowledge or the kind of equipment that kids need to flourish in the 21st century I think is broadly of three kinds. There's knowledge. Of course there's knowledge. There's cultural knowledge, there's geographical knowledge, all the knowledge that you need to find your way around in your culture, to navigate in your culture, to use another metaphor. And of course, nobody but a nitwit would deny that, there are important things that kids need to know. And there's an awful lot of expertise, an awful lot of skills that we need to know. Some of them are physical, like walking, and some of them are mental, like how to mitigate some of the limitations of our memory by using mnemonics or whatever else. So there's all kinds of skills, skilled activities, forms of expertise that we need to acquire in order to function well in the world. And then as a big bundle of things, there are also a whole set of what I call habits of mind or learning strengths or character strengths. They go by a lot of different names. And a huge number of countries around the planet are grappling. This is not just a small band of misguided progressives. This is the OECD, this is Australian national government, this is most of the states in Australia, this is the New Zealand national government, this is the Singaporean national government, are trying to find ways of articulating what those beliefs and attitudes and dispositions are, what the core of that, like the trunk of the tree, that youngsters need to possess in order to flourish in a world which by anybody's reckoning is dubious and complex and fast changing and exciting and full of opportunity and full of risk. The world of pornography and fake news and online self-employment and entrepreneurship and we can go on with that forever. So this is not some kind of quirky left-wing romantic concern with this third category, if you like, and they blend together. These three categories are sort of just for convenience. The concept of what kids need to know is complex and contentious, even at the level of knowledge. I mean, I have a whole chapter about this in the book, of knowing, what is it? I like the way David Perkins puts this. He has a wonderful book for anybody who's interested in what kids need to know, even in the limited sense of conscious propositional knowledge. The book is called Future Wise. Even that is, it's like, it doesn't automatically, immediately reduce or collapse into the traditional 9 or 10 subjects of the school curriculum. There are all kinds of things like international finance or personal hygiene or drug use or economics, or particularly, I mean, there's more of this in maths now than there used to be, but right up the top should be learning more about risk and probability and statistics, and less probably about trigonometry or simultaneous equations, right? So that's like wherever you look, you know, the minute you start asking questions about what is it, this is the way Perkins put it, what is it that most young people are likely to need to know in the lives that they're likely to need? We can't say anything more certain than that. Most young people, you know, what is the core curriculum? If you look at that question freshly, you don't come out with a Nick Gibb, Michael Gove kind of answer, or at least you come out with a whole clamor of things that have a prima facie case to be included in the curriculum as valuable and useful topics of consideration, alongside trigonometry and the Tudors. And then there's the whole issue that you raise of, you know, whether just filling kids' heads with knowledge is the best preparation that we can give them. And again, that's, you know, the part of the trouble is the use of the word knowledge. And Dylan and I have talked about this. His conception of knowledge includes skills and, I think, attitudes and dispositions. But the way the word knowledge is used by the neo-traditionalists is it often, and particularly in Daisy Christodoulou's book, knowledge equates to facts, little individual gobbets of truth that seem to be beyond question. Some of those are useful, but in my conception of knowledge, and I think Dylan Williams' conception of knowledge, the world of knowledge is much, much, much larger and more variegated than that. So we shouldn't fall into the trap of saying, by using the word knowledge, of without realizing it, of assuming that that leads us to a world of facts and propositions and explicit arguments and so on. Some of knowledge is like that, much of it isn't.